Welcome to KDSV Knowledge Studio. Get ready to level up your tech knowledge with easy-to-follow tutorials, smart tips, and powerful tools for success.
Are you still clicking through the UI to verify every little things? Stop wasting your time. In this video, I will show you top 25 essential SQL queries that every QA tester must know. From basic validation to advanced joins and bug tracing, whether you are a beginner or an experienced manual tester, these queries will sharpen your accuracy and save your hours. Let's level up your QA knowledge. In this video, I am going to explain about most essential SQL commands that will be used for QA engineers. We will begin with basics like select star, select distinct, select top, and use of the as for column and alias. Then we'll move into filtering data using the where clause, including powerful conditions like is null, like, and, or, and between operators. We'll also explore how to use the subqueries inside the select statement. Next, we will sort and organize the data with the order by, group by clauses, and use of aggregate functions like count, sum, average, minimum, and maximum. Also, you will learn to filter grouped results using having clause and handle logic with the powerful case statement. We'll also cover joins, including inner join, left join, right join, and how to merge the results using union function. Towards the end, we will cover handling null using is null and coalesce, and wrap up with the window functions like row number, rank, partition by. Here I am using Northwind DB or Pops DB or AventureWorks. These three DBs I have downloaded from the Google. If you people want to use the same DB, you can go ahead and download it from the Google, or otherwise, you can take any DB and start practicing the concept which I am going to explain. So let me select the Northwinds DB and click New Query. And if we expand the Northwinds DB and tables, you will find there is a lot of tables that this particular DB has. So take an example. I want to look at all the content from the products table. So for that, what I can do, type select star from products. When you start typing, it will always populate the related content. Here you can select the your products table and click execute. So this will bring up all the records that present in this particular products tables. And you can specify, if you don't want to this all the records, I want to specify only the few columns in these records. You can, in place of star, you can type specific column. Let's say product ID, comma, product name, comma, supplier ID and category ID. So if you execute this query, this will bring only the records that has these related columns, whatever we have specified in the SQL queries. In the other way, in place of hitting the execute button over here, you can press Alt X to execute as well. Alt X shortcut is used to click the execute button here. So if you look at here, there is small underscore under the X button. That means Alt key is for the underscore and X is for the execute. This is the easy way to execute them without going and clicking the execute button. Okay, and take an example. You have list of values in the tables, and you want to get the unique values of that. Let's take an example. Here I will take only the supplier ID, and if I execute them, I could see there are 3 times I could see the 1 value as a 1, and there is multiple values for 4 and multiple values for 3 and 5 and all. But here I want to get the only very unique values. So if this particular data set has 1, I want to look at the only ones. So for this cases, what you can use the another keyword called distinct, and press Alt X. Distinct will ignore all the duplicate values and make sure that it is unique across these results. This way you can eliminate unnecessarily duplicate values in this case. And let me go back, let me put the star once again to explain the next concept. The next one, I don't want to bring up all the results. I want to look at only the top 5. In that cases, you can type top and how many records you want, you can type that records and hit Alt X button. This will bring only the top 5 records, whatever you needed them. And the next one, if you take a look at here, you have the product ID, product name, and a lot of the field values. I mean column and headers. And if you want to rename those column and headers, how we can do that? So let's take an example. So here I have product ID, comma product name, and let's say I'm having a quantity per unit. Okay, quantity per unit. And in this particular field, I don't want to have the quantity per unit, just I want to simplify this column name. So you can type AS means alias, and you can type what is your new field name you want. Just I want to have QTY, and if we execute them, just take a look at this field. In place of quantity per unit, we will have a QTY. And if you execute the query and look at, you will have the QTY. So need not be, you need to specify as then the column name. Without as also you can specify your actual column name, how it is in your database table, and the how you want to rename those column, and just execute. This will work. This renames is only for this query results, and it is not going to rename it in your database table. And the next one which I want to explain is the where condition. So right now if we execute select start from products, it brings up all the records that is present in the this particular table. So here what I need, I want to have the results, the records, number of records where supplier is 1. So in that case you can use, in that particular case you can type where as a keyword, and you can enter your the condition here. Here my condition, supplier ID equal to 1, and click execute. So in this case, wherever the supplier ID is 1, only those records will come into picture here. Okay, fine. Here I don't want to look at only the supplier ID 1. I want to look at supplier ID 2 also. So in that case, what is the best way to use them? In place of putting equal to 1, you can use the another keyword called in, and add the rounded bracket and type your multiple values. So let's say 1, 2. In this case, wherever the supplier ID is either 1 or 2, those records will be displayed over here. And another one, the next keyword which I want to introduce over here is a like operator. Like operator, we can use it in the where conditions. So for example, in quantity per unit, so here you have a different names over here. Somewhere you have boxes, bags, bottles, jars, those kind of information. Okay, I want to bring only the quantity per unit which has a jar. How can I bring those records? For that, what you can use it, you can type your field name, quantity per unit, and operator like, and in the single quote. So if you look at here, in both the cases where jar comes at the end. So I will type jars, JARS, and before, in the beginning, I will put the percentage. What it does mean, the last 4 characters should be jars, and before those J, it can be any characters. So if I execute this, it will bring up only the product that having jars as a string in the quantity per unit. And if you look at here, it brought up 8 records, and if you execute all of them, we have somewhere 77 records. Wherever it has a jars, it brought up all the results. Let's say we will take another one, let's say ML. So ML has only once, so it brought bringing up 1. And we'll look at another way how to use the percentage at the end. Okay, let's say I want to bring all the records which starts with 12, and after 12 it can be any letters or numbers. Just type 12 and percentage in the single quote and execute them. It will bring up all the results where quantity per unit has 12 as the starting value. And I hope this all concept are looks fine for you people. I will recommend you people start practicing these things so that you can start using them in your daily basis testing. And if you like this concept, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. And let's move on to the next concept, how we can use multiple condition in the where class. Okay, so for example, I will take supplier ID as a 1, and I want to check again category ID also 1. I'm going to type 2 conditions, so we need to join with AND operator, category ID as a 1. So in this case, what are the records having supplier ID as a 1 and category ID as a 1? Those records will be listed over here. Just execute them and look at wherever the supplier ID is 1 and category ID is 1, those records are came. Maybe if you want to execute only the part of your query, just select them and then press Alt X or just click execute. So in this case, I am using only the one condition, so it bringing up 3 records. And if I use both the condition, I'll be getting only 2 records, because supplier ID and category ID is a 1 for only for these first 2 records where the product 1 and 2. Okay, so in this way you can use multiple condition and keyword you can use where both the condition need to be satisfied. And another example, let's say I don't want to look for both supplier ID and category ID is 1. So I want to bring the results either supplier ID is 1 or category ID is 1. In that cases, in place of and, I can use as a or. If you use or, it will look for either ID as a 1, then it will bring up those all results. So in this case, if you look at here, only the first 3 products has supplier ID as a 1. Even for the third product, category ID is a 2. Still that is coming because we are using the OR condition. And if you look at the other records over here, even though supplier ID is greater than 2, but category ID is a 1, that's why we could able to get almost 13 records in this particular query results. And the next condition we want to use as a between operator. Let's say here I want to bring all the records where supplier ID is between specific number. Let's say supplier ID between my value, let's say 1 and 5. So you need to use between as a keyword and 1 as your starting value, because between means you need to give the range, 1 as the starting value and 5 as the ending value. So all the product which has a supplier ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those records will be listed over here. Just execute them, and if you can see that only the supplier ID 1 to 5, those records are displayed over here. In this kind of situation, you can use the between operator here. Between, and it should be combination of and. Here you cannot use or, because between always uses 2 range of numbers here. Now I will explain how to use the subqueries in the where condition. So for this, I'm going to take new table, select star from orders. If you look at in this table, I have list of orders and customer ID and the employee ID. And what are the employees I have here? I want to bring up those employee names. I don't want to bring all the employees name. If you want to bring all the employees name, straight away I can look at the select star from employees table. So this one will bring all the employees in the query results. But in this case, I want to get only the employees who has already orders. Only those employees I want to bring up. In that case, what I can do, here I can add as a condition, let me execute both together, because in both the places I could see employee ID is the common, so I'm going to use the employees table here and type employee ID in. Here I'm going to use in query statement, and inside of this I'm using select star from orders. Okay, so if you let me correct this spelling. So if you execute this, definitely it will throw an error, because here we cannot use a star. Also here we need to add as a where clause, because we are going to add the condition. So here we need to specify the exact column where it has the employee ID. So I will copy paste the same values here. And in this case, what it will look at, it will bring up all the employees IDs from the orders table and get those employees content from the employee table. So in this case, only employees who has some orders, only those details are brought up here. And main thing to look at here, we cannot use the star here. We have to specify the exact column name over here. If you use star, you will end up with the this particular error over here. Let's see how to use the order by class in the SQL queries. For this example, I'm going to use the order details table. So just write select star from order details. Since this particular table has the space in between, so we need to give it in the double quotes. If we execute this, it gives the list of all orders and the product details and other unit and discount and quantity. And here I want to list out order ID in the descending order. In that case, I can type order by order ID, and if you leave as it is, by default system will take us ascending. Either you include ASC or you don't include ASC, it will take it as ascending by default. If you want it in the descending order, you use DESC, so that the last order will be displayed in the top. If you look at here, 11077 order ID is displayed in the top. And here if you want to include multiple columns in the order by, okay, fine. I want the order ID in the descending, but product ID is in the ascending. The less product number will be in the top, or otherwise, let's say the maximum quantities are in the top. So in that case, I can use anyway, order by should be in the descending order. I will put comma and quantity also descending. That means max quantity should be displayed in the first entry. If you look at here in 11077, the 24 is the highest quantity for this product too, that is displayed in the first record. So here you can specifically tell the required column and name over here, or otherwise you can give the index of this column. So if you look at in the current query results, order ID is in the first column, so in place of order ID I can use as a 1. And in place of quantity, quantity is in the fourth column. In place of quantity I can use as a 4 here, and both will give the same results. But when using these kind of numbers, you should be very careful. If you change your select statement, then this order will be applied to what is the first column in the your select statement, because you have given us a 1 descending. Let's see how to use group by class. So let me type select star from order details, and our keyword is group by, and you need to include your column name here. Order id is my column name, and if you execute, it might throw an error, because whenever you are using group by column, you need to include some aggregate function as well. So my aggregate function I'm using as a count of my order id. If you do this, it will give you the complete how many records, how many times the same order is repeated in this particular table. You can include the order id also as a one of the column here, so that we get the order id and their count. So if you look at here, order ID 10248, it was given in the 3 times in this particular table, because it has the 3 different products included. So that's why it was 3 times included. Here maybe you can call it as a number of prods. That will be more correct terms of using over here. And likewise, you have a different aggregation functions available over here. And the next one, we can see average, sum, minimum, and maximum. Before that, let me take a look at all different fields, columns available in this particular table. Then it will be easy for us to add different aggregate function for this particular table. Okay, so next one, I want to sum of all the product quantity for that particular order ID. So in that case, what I can do, I can include my order ID as a group by, I can keep it as it is. In place of this count, I'm going to use as a sum, and in place of order ID, because I'm not going to sum of this order IDs, but I want to sum of my quantity. Here I can use a quantity. That means for each order ID, what is the total number of quantity irrespective of your different products. Just execute them. You will get for order ID 10248, you have a total quantity is a 27. Maybe you can write the SQL query for the second one and you'll look at. So if you look at these 3, if you manually add these all values, you will get the 27. So for this particular order ID, I have as a 27 as my total sum of those all quantities. And the next one, we can have a minimum. So if I put minimum for this particular this first particular order, this order ID, I should get as a 5, because among these 3 values, minimum is 5. Min for the first record, I will get as a 5, because minimum is 5. And in place of minimum, if I use max will come as a 12 for order number 10248. So it becomes as a 12. And the similar way, you can use average also. So average will give the average of 3 values, these 3 values, because it's the same order ID and I'm grouping by the order ID. In some situation, if you want to group by multiple field, you can use the comma separated value as similar to how I have shown in the order by class. And if we execute now, it will give us a 9, which is the average of these 3. I hope everyone understand the logic behind this group by and how exactly we need to write. Let's move on to the next class, which is having class. I will keep as a group by as order by as it is, and I will use as sum. Here I will take a sum of quantity, and if you execute this, you will have the quantity number, a lot of things. So here I want to bring up the results of where the quantity is going greater than 100. So in that case, I can use the having class. After the group by, I have to use the having class and use the same aggregation function, sum of quantity greater than 100. In this case, this 27, 49, 60, 41, these all won't come because those all are having a less than 100 quantity. Click execute. In this case, we will get sum of quantity for individual orders is greater than 100. Only those order IDs will be included over here. The same way, in place of sum, you can use the count also, and you can use the minimum and maximum or average. Any other aggregator function, you can use it in the having class. So without group by class, we cannot use the having class. These two go together, then only the system will work. Let's learn how to use the case statement in the SQL queries. So for this particular cases, I'm going to use the table as territories and the region. Before we go into the case statement, let's take a look at what are the records exist in these two tables. Select star from territories and region. So in the territories, it given the list of records and the region ID also used here. So in this case statement, I'm going to use the region ID, and if region ID is 1, then print as a eastern and western, something like that related to the region ID. For this, what we can do right now, so here I will use my territory ID, comma territory description as it is, and then I will use the case statement. So here you need to start with case and put when. In the when, you need to add the condition. Here what I will use, my region ID equal to 1, use keyword as a then. If the region ID is 1, then what need to be done? So here I will add as a, if region ID is 1, you print this as a eastern. Okay. The next one, I will use the one more when case. When region ID is 2, I will use the western. And the third, let me copy this. Third one, I will use as a northern. Region ID is 3, then it's a northern. And the last one, I will use the else case, else you keep it as a southern. And after the else case, we need to end this case statement. So for that, we need to add end case. And sorry, just an end. As a region or description, and just execute them. Here in place of region ID, you can able to put some condition. Based on the condition, you can print the record strings over here. Like this way, you can make use of case statement based on your actual use cases, and you can include the different conditions. And this particular case, if you compare the case which I have explained, in place of just using the case statement, you can use the joins also. So next one we will see in the join statement how we can utilize these two tables in place of using the case, how we can bring up the same result using the joins. Next, let's learn about the different joining concepts. So for this joining demo, I will start using the orders table and customers table. Before write any joining query, just to take a look at the different columns available in these two tables. Let's say select star from orders. I'm keeping alias as a verb. And the next one, select star from customers. This is a C. And in this case, what I need a single data set which includes order ID, customer name, and customer ID. In the orders table, we have order ID and customer ID, but customer names are there in the customers table, which is called as a company name. So I'm going to use inner join of my customer C table, and you need to put the customer name here, customer table name here, and alias name, and the on. Then you need to put the condition how this match need to be found. So I'm going to match with C dot customer ID should be equal to order dot customer ID. If customer IDs are matched between the customer table and the order table, then bring those records. So here I will use O dot order ID and C dot customer ID, comma C dot company name. This I will rename it as a customer name. If we execute, only the matched records will be displayed in your result sets. And if this particular, let's say X customer is not available in the customer table and only available in the orders table, in that case, those records won't come over here. Only matched records will come into picture. And let's see one more example for this. And for here, I'm going to use again customer table. Select star from customer table. In this customer table, let's see what are the other details are available. So we have one column called region, which has some specific value for some records, and some records are null. So what I'm going to do here, I will add as a I will add a filter where region not equal to null. Okay, if you look at here, if we execute this, it may not bring all the records over here, because if you want to check not null, then we should not use this parameter. We have separate way to check the not null. So you need to put is not null in place of equal to not null. Okay, if we execute this, you will get the list of customer where there is a region code exist over here. And the same way, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to join this query results. I will keep this query result as a separate table called the region. I will call this table as a R, and here I will bring only the region ID here. I don't want to bring any of the other records. Let's say I will keep it as a region, and if I execute this, it will bring some duplicates value also. So to avoid the duplicate, I'm going to use distinct. So now I will get only the unique value of region here. I will keep this region as a separate alias as a R, and here I'm going to do the inner join of these two tables. So in the before, I have showed you how to use the subqueries in the where condition. In this case, we are going to use the subqueries in the joining as well. So here what I will do, I will join, I will need to put the keyword as on, and r dot region equal to c dot, I think it's a zip region, no? Sorry, o dot zip region. Okay, and when I put this condition, it shows two errors over here, because here we don't have the customer table in the picture. So I'm going to delete this. In place of this, I'm going to use the um, o dot region. O dot zip region. And if I execute this, so I get 310 records, and here it is going to bring up only the matched records. So any unmatched records, it won't come over here. So wherever you are using the inner join, always it will look for the matched records in both the table. Let's say in place of inner join, let's try with left join. If I use a left join in the ship region, I could see there is some null values as well. The reason being, how exactly this left join works, it will bring up all the matched records plus all the records from the left table. So wherever we have the value, those all are the matched records, and left table for us is the order. In the order, we have few order IDs without zip region. That's why these things are coming as a null. And if you use right join, it will bring up all the matched records plus all the records from the right table. If we execute here, still we will get the 310 records, because I don't see any null records in the second table. And maybe, if you want to really look at the right join, maybe I will tweak my script to show them. And in place of order, I will keep it as a second table. Okay, and here I will use right join orders on. Now if I execute here, I will get some more null values, because in the orders table we know that we have already null values in the ship region, and I'm asking to bring up the records, all matched records plus all the records from the right table. Now in this case our right table is orders, and this will bring the same results of your left join when you swap your table structure. So what I meant actually, these two queries will bring the same results, but here I'm used to left join, here I'm used to right join. Here the order of my tables are different. Here I used first table as a orders, but in the second cases I used second table as a orders. So here the right table is orders, and here it's a left table is orders. That's why if you execute them, you will see same records over here. So I hope you understood how the left join, how the right join or inner join works together. And another one we have very important, which every QA engineers need to know. You can use full join, or some people use as a full outer join, or you can use as a outer join. So in this case, what it brings up, it will bring up all the records, all the matched records, plus all the records from the left table and all the records from the right table. So in some situation, if you want to look at all the records from both the table plus matched records, in that case, you can use the full join. Okay. The next one, we are going to look at union class. Union class will help us to combine two different result sets into single table here. So for example, for this I will select star from customer, and here you have different records from customer, and let's assume that you have one more customer table. Maybe I will call this as a old customer. Okay, and I will call this as a customers. In these two cases, if we execute them, obviously we will get the same records. But if you have a concept of keeping all customers or inactive customers in the different tables, then this will be correct. And in these cases, you have two different result sets, and I want to combine this all into one. In such a cases, I can use as a union. So when you use the union, it will combine the result sets from the two different tables. And if you execute, you will get a single table, but the count will be the double here. But when you use union, right, you need to make sure that whatever the list of columns you used in the select statement, the same list of columns or equivalent columns should be used in the second subquery as well. So for example, here I'm using customer ID, but if I use here company name, then it may not be correct. So in one places it will give us a customer ID, one places it will give us a customer name, which may not be correct. So always you should make sure that the order of different columns in the select statement should be the same as the other queries which is kept it in the next. So like this, you can use the n number of union if you want to compare if you want to combine two different tables. Maybe most probably you might use these kind of things if you have orders and the archive orders. In such a cases, if you want to get the list of orders, maybe you can use the union. But in my example, I don't have the archive orders, so I could not able to show exactly how to bring those results. So here I'm using as a customer table itself, but I'm calling this customer as a old customers. Next, we are going to see about is, null and collise operators. Is null will be used to set the some default values wherever you see the null values for the sum of the column. And here in this particular table, in the suppliers table, I could see some of the regions are null. So in place of null, I want to keep some default values. I can use as a is null. Is null, and I have to use the column which where I'm looking at, and comma, I need to specify the default value. So wherever null comes, now if I execute this query, that will be replaced by SQL, and this particular is null will affect only the cell which has the null value in the given column. So few rows has blank value, so these rows will not be affected by the is null operator. So if we execute, so the first record and the fourth record and the sixth record, these all are replaced, null values are replaced by the SQL, and still the blank values are not affected at all here. And earlier we saw is null in the join condition. So is null without space and is null with space, these two things are two different SQL statement. These two are not equal. Is null typically we use in the select statement. Is space null we will use it in the where condition. So you people should be aware of what is the difference between these. And maybe I have a situation where if there is a null records, I don't want to keep as a default value. I want to look at the next column. In such a cases, I can use as a different SQL command which is called collage. COALESCE. This collage will affect only the null values. It will look at if first column is null, take the value from the second column. So in place of SQL, I'm going to use the contact name. Wherever the region is null, use the contact name. So likewise, you can use comma separator and you can specify n number of columns in this. So if region is null, it will look for the contact name. If contact name is null, it will look for the next column. But whereas in the is null, we can supply only the two parameter to that particular function. So let's see what happens in this case. If we execute this, wherever the null was there, in those places, it is copying the contact name to the third column. And if you look at the fourth record also copied and sixth record also copied from the contact name. So these operators, is null, collage, you can use it wherever it's required, wherever you want to avoid the null values in your results sets, you can use them. Next, let's see how to use the round function. In this order table, we have the freight charges, which is in the two decimal places. Let's say I want to convert them into, round off them into one decimal places. For that, I can use keyword as a round. In the bracket, we need to give the field, column name where you have the numbers and comma. You need to specify how many decimal places we want to round off. So here I want to round off one decimal places. Let me keep freight as a separate column as well so that it will be easy for us to compare. If we execute, all the values will be rounded off to one decimal places. And if you want to take out all the decimal places, you can use round off to 0 so that it will be all whole numbers will be displayed here. And next one, let's see how to convert the different data types using cast method or the convert method. Both are almost similar. Cast is very portable, readable and easy to use it, and converts gives us extra style parameter specifically when we are converting date related column into string. Let's say, so here let's try to convert some of the numbers to integer. I'm not going to use the orders table here. Straight away use cast and this is my integer value which is in the form of string, and we need to use as keyword here and your data type to convert. So I want to convert to integer, and if we execute, this particular value will be converted to integer. And in case if you keep any decimal places and try to convert to integer, this will throw an error because here we are trying to convert to integer, which will not be possible. Maybe you need to use float. And next one, let's see how to use the convert function for the same cases. So select convert, and here we need to specify the data types first and use the separator as a comma and include your values. So now using convert function, we are converting 1 to 3 as a integer value. In this case, almost same. There is no differences. Only the way how we write the format is little bit different. But as I said, convert function has more styling when we are trying to convert a date related column to string. So for that, let's select convert. Here I want to convert some of the dates to varchar. So I'm typing as a varchar of 10, varchar of 10, and I need to tell what is the my date related column. So here, in place of fetching from the table, I'm using the standard function to get the current date. For that, you can use get date function, and you need to specify the format. So let's say format I'm keeping as a 103, and if you execute this, you will get the all the dates in this particular format. So rather than just converting the date to varchar, it is applying the some of the styles as well. So in this case, I'm included as a 103, and this style gives the current date as date, month, and year format. And if you use a different style, let's say 102, this will give year dot 07 dot 4. Likewise, you have a different formats you can specify for the specifically conversion of a date. Let's see how to use those formats. We can use a number of stylings in the convert function. If we specify in place of 103, if you specify as a 1, you will get in this particular format. And any numbers, if you use 0 to 9, these format values will give years in the 2-digit. If you use any numbers between 100 to 109, this will give years in the 4-digit format. And if you want to use MMDDYY, you can use 101, and we have used as a 103, which is DDMMYY, and 102 is a YYY MMDD with the dot separator. And if you want to have only the time, you can use the 108. And based on your scenario, how you want to convert this date type to string, you can use these styling parameters. And also we have special styles 126 and 127. These all will give date and time in the ISO format. One is for the ISO 8601 and one is for the ISO 8501. Next one is very interesting topic. I'm not sure how many of you know this concept. If you know already, please comment Windows function in the comment section. This topic is all about the Windows functions in the SQL. Windows functions performs a calculation across the set of rows that are related to the current row, but without collapsing the rows into single output. So the key features here: operators over a window of rows defined by over class. It returns the one set of results per row, and this window function supports ranking and dense ranking, lag, lead, sum, average, count, first value, last value functions are available under this window function. And these functions often used with partition by and ordered by and over class. So let's get started with, for example, I want to add a row number in front of order ID. So in this case, I can use the Windows window functions here. And here what I need to type, I need to type specific function name row underscore number. This row number always should be followed by over class over, and we need to specify how to order by. So here I want to order by, because the the latest order ID should have the row number as a first, and so I can use here over, inside the over I can use order by order ID, and we need to use the comma. If we execute here, I'll get the row number 1 to how many rows are available here till 8:30. It will add the row numbers in front of the column wherever we are using it. And let's say in place of giving the row number for individual columns, I want to give row number for customer having the same customer having the order ID. For example, here I want to use customer ID in place of order ID and see how this. If we execute, I don't see any differences and it adds the row number as it is, but my requirement, I want to group these row numbers for individual customers. For example, for this customer I have a 6 rows. After 6 I want to start this row number as a 1, and for individual customer it has to reset to 1. In such a cases, we need to create the subset subgroup within this select statement itself. So that means we are going to partition the row numbers per customer ID. So in such a cases, I have to use the another keyword here, partition by. Here I need to specify, I need to partition by based on which column. Here I require customer ID column. And if I execute this right now, I will get the row number, but this row number will be reset for individual customer. Also, another things you can do, so you want to keep the row number 1 for the highest order ID. In such a cases, you can change the order by class over here to the order ID. In this case, you will get the row number highest. So if you look at here, by default order ID it is taking as ascending, as I said in earlier. So we will use here as a descending, so that latest order ID will come in the top. So in this case, for the same customer, 11011 order ID has the row number as a 1. And next one, we can try to add the rank class over here and see how that works. Let's say I want to add as a rank here, and I want to order by. I don't want to group anything. I don't want to partition anything. I'm removing the partition. And in the order by, I want to keep the freight. So in this case, what exactly I'm looking forward? Based on the freight, I want to add the rank. And let's execute this query and see how this works. So this works because by default order by class takes as ascending. I want to give the rank as a 1 for the highest value, so I will add as a descending. And if you look at here, for this particular freight and order, the rank is given as a 1. This will go into 1 to 3 series, but there is a difference. Let's see that. See, for example, so if you take a look at this particular record, this freight values has same value 0.75, 0.75. And if you look at here, the order, the rank method uses the same ranks, and the next cycle it ignores the 8 and 4 and it starts with the 8 and 4. This how typically the ranking works for the all the students as well. Unlike the row number goes in the sequential order even though it has the same value, but rank will take care of if there is any equal value, give the same rank. And if you look at one more places, this also is the same rank. That's the difference between the row number and rank. And in the rank we have one more method, dense rank, dense underscore rank, and let's see how this works. So here for the same value it gives the same number 784784, but the next value it won't start from 6, it won't skip 1, it will go the next number itself. Maybe for your reference, let me add one more column as a rank and let's compare that. If we take 066, here the rank first one is just a rank 817 817, it skips the 818 and goes to 819, but here 787 787 7 8, the next number it comes, it is not skipping. Wherever you use dense rank, it won't skip the numbers between this whenever there is a duplicates or the same values are kept for your column. So based on your requirement, you can decide where to use the dense rank or where to use the rank. And next one, we have other functions called average, count, sum. This is almost similar. Maybe you can try using the average and sum and count and comment me what is the results you are getting them. And next I want to show as a lag and lead. So first let me put these values first, then I will explain how exactly it works. Unlike row number and dense rank, we no need to give anything in as a parameter for these functions, but for the lag we need to give them. Maybe for the lag case I will take a different orders. Let me take the order details, because in the order details we have the total count as well. And before I add the function, let me format my select statement, and then we will continue. So for example, here I want to use the order ID, and the next one I want to have the order total. So here order total, I need to multiply unit price multiplied by quantity. I'll say this as an order total. I should not use the comma if we want to rename the column. So order total, I got it. And if you look at here, actually it is not an order total, it's a total for individual product, individual item. So I'm going to convert, do the group by and take the order total for individual order ID. So what I will use group by. I'm going to group by order ID, and I will use here sum as a function, because I'm going to, after multiplying, I'm going to sum off, and if you execute, I will get the exact order total over here. And let's consider here I want to have the difference between the two different orders. Okay, what is the order total difference between these two orders? How do I do here? In such a cases, we can use the lag function. What lag function will give you? Let's use that lag function here, lag, and you can here you can use column you are going to use. Maybe I will keep this as a subgroup so that it will be easy to specify the column. I am calling as this as a table, and I will use select star from this table. Okay. Yep. So here I'm going to use lag function. In the bracket, I have to specify what is the my column. Here I am using as a order total and lag, and I need to use the my window function over class. I need to use inside the over class. I need to specify my order by. Order by. Let's use the order ID here, and partition by also we need to include. It says incorrect syntax near. I have added the comma over here, which we should not. And if you look at here, right now it prints all null, because here I am using as a partition by order ID, and I here the same order comes only once. So what we will do, we will include customer ID also here. So let's see if we have a customer ID in this order table. So let's start from customer details. I don't have the customer ID, so let me take a product ID over here. So in place of order ID, I will use the product ID. And since I'm using product ID here, I need to use it in the group by as well. Perfect. So now if you look at our third column where we used lag, it shows some values. So lag means for the next row, it will take the values from the one value before. For example, if you take a look at here my value order total is 259.20, but my lag value will be 1 before. It will takes from the one column before. And same thing if you look at here, 28820, the lag value will be 1 before, which is 259.20. And the same way, if you use the other window function, which is called lead, and see what is the difference. So as name says, lead will take one value from the next row. For example, if we take an example of third row, for third row, lag picks up the value from one row above, but for lead, it picks up the value from one row below. So whenever you want to use these kind of stuff, so you can use it. So basically, what I'm going to show here, I want to see the order total difference between the each rows. In such a cases, what I can do, since in the same row I have both the values, I can add a minus over here. From the order total, current order total, it will try to minus the previous order total. So we will get the differences. So let me delete this one. And if we execute, now I will get the difference between these two. In the next one, I will get the difference between these two. For the next one, I will get the difference between these two. That's how it will go. And the same way, if you add lead, it will do in the opposite direction. It will take the difference between the next row. So mainly this kind of function you can use where you want to get the difference between the previous row or the next row. In such a cases, you can use. And the similar manner, you can use average also. If you have multiple values, then only it will show as average. Let's see, try with average here. So since we have only one row, that's why average comes as same value. And maybe you need to find out some different tables where you have the average correctly. In that such a cases, you will get the correct values over here. You made it through the top 25 SQL queries. Great job. Start using these queries in your daily testing and you will instantly catch more bugs, validate faster, and impress your development team. Got a favorite SQL tip that I did not cover? Drop it in the comments and do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button because at KDSV Knowledge Studio, I am here to power up your testing skills. Thank you.